So you're interested in learning everything there is to know about filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. Well, thankfully, you've come to the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Ascend Finance YouTube channel, where we help folks understand the cost and qualification for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. We actually built a free Chapter 7 calculator so you can estimate the cost, qualification, and pros and cons of filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. Whether you live in a smaller town or a huge city, it doesn't make a difference because the Chapter 7 calculator gives you specific results based on your zip code and personal information. Now, today I'm going to go through a few things. First, I'll talk about the cost to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. Specifically, I'll talk about, how to actually qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. Third, I'm going to talk a little bit about assets and whether they'd be protected if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. Fourth, I'll talk about should you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey. Now, all of that said though, before I get into this, just remember this is for informational purpose only and should not be construed as legal advice. Now, I like to research. I like to do a lot of things and look into things. So I'm sure you're just trying to research as much as you can right now. So what I'm going to do is just make this short and sweet by getting right into the first thing. So how much does it cost to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey? When it comes to filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there are several factors an attorney may consider in estimating a total all-in estimate to file. To clarify though, here's what an attorney actually may look at when they're trying to determine how much they may charge someone. So first, they may look at the complexity of the case. Second, the urgency for that person to file. Third, the years of experience for that attorney. Fourth, the actual cash flow of the client. So sometimes attorneys may be a little bit more flexible if they don't have as much money to pay or the income's lower. And then 5, location. So I want to further go into each one real quick so we can explain them. So first, complexity of the case, right? So this generally is going to refer to whether or not you have any assets you protected when you file. So if the client ends up having assets, it may take the attorney longer to get the petition ready. So for urgency to file, whether you may have to file bankruptcy within a few days or months, an attorney may charge more or less depending on how much time they have to get it ready. And then attorney's years of experience, right? So this is going to be a little bit more straightforward. So if an attorney's been filing bankruptcies for more than 10 years versus someone that just started a year ago, they may actually be able to charge a bit more, but it really depends. And then fourth, the cash flow of the individual filing. So sometimes they may charge a smaller fee as a courtesy. Still, the average fee is usually charged regardless of the client's cash flow. Now, finally, the location. So this is actually more relative state versus state, as actually some states may have an average Chapter 7 fee of, let's say, $2,000 versus another state with an average of $1,200. Okay, so before I move on to the next part about qualifying for a Chapter 7, if you actually want to have an estimate for the total all-in cost, you can take our free Chapter 7 calculator below. You don't even have to add an email address to see the results. The idea is it gives you the cost, pros and cons, and whether you actually may qualify for a Chapter 7. Keep in mind, if you don't want to add any contact info, you can just select none of the above at the end, and you don't even have to add an email address. All right, so now let's dive in how to actually qualify for a Chapter 7. So there's going to be 3 main factors to understand when determining your ability to file Chapter 7. Income, expenses, assets. So those are going to be the 3 things I want you to remember when trying to understand qualification. So each state is going to have most likely an income limit set for your household size. So what that's going to be considered is the means test income limit. I'll actually put the income limit for this state on the screen, but keep in mind that the means test updates every so often. So that being said, taking our free calculator that's actually in the description can be helpful, as it's actually going to be most up to date with the means test data for estimating your qualification for Chapter 7. Alrighty, so now let's talk about expenses, as the means test has a couple of parts. The first part of the means test is mainly considering your gross income versus the income limit for the household size. Now, the second part generally considers your disposable income. Sometimes individuals may fail the first part of the means test by making too much money, but sometimes pass the second part because the court finds they may not actually have enough disposable income. And so when that's the case, you may find that you can qualify for a 7 even though you make more than the income limit. Now, finally, let's talk about how assets are actually really important to the Chapter 7 decision-making process. So although having assets may not impact your qualification, it may actually impact your decision to file. Almost every state has its own exemptions that filers can use. So they may want to utilize that to protect their assets from being liquidated. Now, the main assets I'd say that individuals are mainly concerned about are their home or their cars. So let me kind of explain how that looks like it. Now, before I dive deeper into that and how they're all treated, I just wanted to say, like, if the video has ended up being helpful, or if you think it could be, a game changer for someone you know, let's light up that like button below. It seems that YouTube tends to rank videos with more likes, and we like to think that our video can help those dealing with this kind of stressful topic. So let's make it go viral and create a positive impact. Now that we've kind of covered how assets may impact Chapter 7 from a high level, let's get into it more granularly and explain how that all works. So I'm going to use what I'll call the 2 E's in this situation that'll kind of help you understand the risk of you losing an asset when you're filing a Chapter 7 in New Jersey. So the 2 E's are equity and exemptions. Now, one of the most common assets folks are concerned about losing is their home. So let's use that for this example. Now, at the time of the video, I don't believe New Jersey had a homestead exemption. And so if you do have equity in your home, it may be that you would be able to utilize the federal homestead exemption or something else, but I'll put an article in the description below that'll have more up-to-date information on the homestead for New Jersey. So for the sake of this, let's assume you have more equity than you're supposed to in New Jersey, and it may be at risk of losing the home. Well, at that point, there may be alternative options, and I'll touch on that in a second. But let's say you actually have less equity than the homestead, whether that means you're using the federal or you just don't have any equity in your home, then it may be protected if you're filing in New Jersey. But touching on the alternatives for a second, let's say you're not able to keep your home if you filed a 7, and that's after you confirmed with an attorney, then what I could say is we have a lot of videos talking about alternatives to bankruptcy that you can watch, or you can just take our general debt calculator that'll help you understand alternatives to bankruptcy, the cost, qualifications, pros and cons, all the above. Okay, should you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in New Jersey? Well, here's what I'd say. Ultimately, everyone's situation is unique, and it's going to be up to you. But if you're feeling like you're either at a spot where you maybe have too much equity in a specific asset where you maybe could lose it, or you're just not sure whether Chapter 7 is right for you, then it may be helpful to take the Chapter 7 calculator below. It's free. It'll help you estimate the qualification and cost for Chapter 7 in New Jersey. That said, I get it if you're running low on time or if you have work or whatever you need and you just don't have time to fill out a calculator, then you could just give us a call at 833-272-3631 and we'll try to answer all your questions over the phone. We'll go through and can potentially help you understand the risk of losing assets, the qualifications for a Chapter 7, pros and cons, and even alternative options so you can make the most informed decisions. Thank you so much for watching this video. I surely hope you're able to get out of debt cheaper, easier, and faster. Take care.